Guys, just going to talk to you a little bit about energy and vibration and how different energies can affect us and how we can protect ourselves from that, because it's going to be a challenging year. They're throwing a lot of shit out there. There are lots of there's a lot of messing with people's vibration and energy going on, as maybe darker kind of forces are trying to stop us from awakening. And it's not going to happen because we're really strong, and we are definitely in a time where the energy is very conducive to that kind of awakening. But anything that puts you into a state of fear is going to make that a lot harder. It's going to make that process longer for you. So being aware about the areas that you hold fear is always really helpful, although not necessarily easy to identify, especially if you're just kind of starting out with awakening. But the vibration, the energy of other people and other circumstances is definitely going to have an impact. So whenever you see something, say on the news, where a lot of people have been hurt, or there's a lot of fearful emotion, quite often just watching that is going to bring a lot of people into that state of fear themselves. And that's not saying that you should ignore those things. That's absolutely not what I mean. But recognizing that the emotional response that you might have to some of those issues can be your kind of psychic link to what the people that are actually experiencing that reality are having. So it's not necessarily your own. Yes, you might feel sad for those people, but if you start to get very fearful, that is quite often because you're actually picking up on the emotions and the energies of others. And it can take us a long time to realize, to recognize, and to work out when that's happening to us. It took me a really long time. I went through years of basically being an empath and not understanding that many of the situations I was putting myself in where I would then get anxiety was because I was picking that up from the collective rather than it wasn't really my own shit. So being aware also about where you go and who you mix and interact with and how that can feel for you. So I don't go to clubs, I don't go to festivals, because I know that it's such an intense energy hit that as well as I can protect myself, and generally I maintain a high vibration, so it's harder for that stuff to get in those kind of environments. It is so intense that it affects me, and then the next day I just don't feel good. And I have to do a lot of clearing work, and it's just not worth it. I don't enjoy those kind of environments. But also just going to pubs or bars, anywhere where there are alcohol or drugs involved, people, not necessarily that you're taking those things personally, but when you are around a lot of people that are interacting with those kind of things, that is going to lower your vibration if you are not very well protected against it. And if you're just starting out with a spiritual journey, then you're probably not that well protected just yet. It takes some level of work and conscious input to lift yourself energetically, so and to be conscious and to bubble and protect yourself whenever you go anywhere like that, because those kind of substances, they do really lower people's vibration, and that means that any kind of more negative energy is able to permeate that person's aura more easily. So if you're not very well protected and you're in that environment especially for any extended period, then that energy will begin to affect you. So yes, you can use techniques to help that, but also if you find that you go into that kind of situation and then you feel bad for a couple of days afterwards, not just because of a hangover, especially if you haven't really been drinking a lot or whatever, then that's quite a good sign that you're actually really connected to the energy of other people. When I was going through the dark night of the soul, actually before I did, so before I was really that aware, I used to have panic attacks. And they would come usually around midnight if I was in a bar or a pub or something. And I didn't really know what was triggering them, where it was coming from. And I would literally just have to bolt out of wherever I was. And sometimes I'd break down crying. And I didn't really get it because it wasn't, necessarily anything that was going on with my own life. And when it was pointed out to me by someone who had already kind of gone through a spiritual path, that I was highly empathic, and that actually I was picking up on a lot of the feelings that come out with other people. So if you take that kind of time of night, if someone has been drinking from say 8 o'clock until midnight, then they have massively lowered their vibration, and so there is a lot of negative energy that can get through and permeate. And I was picking up on that. Once I realized that that was what was going on and I was aware of it, then when I started to, if I could still go out, and if I started to have those feelings come through, I would ask, if this isn't for me, take it away. And almost like 9 out of 10 times it would almost instantly be gone, and I would be fine, and I would be able to stay if I wanted to. Not necessarily that I should have done, but you know, I was a lot less enlightened at those times. And I did used to like a good drink and a night out. So, but just having that recognition that it was coming from somewhere else was super helpful to me, and it helped me to not then respond in that way, and the energy would be taken away. It's like you're asking your guides to be able to intervene and to help you to overcome whatever it is that is affecting you. And then if you're still feeling really affected, then maybe it's something that you have that you need to deal with and let go of, some kind of negative energy or something that is trapped within your own energy system. Sorry, excuse me, I thought it just cut out then, but it hasn't. That's good, we're still here. Anyway, so yeah, just be aware of where you're feeling, how it's sitting with you, and there are different exercises that you can do to bring yourself back into a more centered space. I have lots of meditations available on my Standstill page that will help you to do that and help you to lift your vibrations so that you are not so permeable to other negative energies.